Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. And today we're going to continue our journey in Genealogy Standards. We're dealing with standards for researching. This is standard number 25, note-taking content. When examining sources, genealogists cite them and make notes about their contents and features of potential relevance to the investigation. These notes include content, formatting, and other features. There are 3 bullets that follow. The first is physical features and contextual cues, including any indication the source may be damaged, incomplete, or incorrectly dated. The second is names, dates, places, circumstances, and other content exactly as they appear in the source material. And the third is formatting, headings and subheadings, column headings, digital source, metadata, notations on the front or back of a page or appended to it, explanatory text, whether or not adjacent to the source or item of interest, footnotes and endnotes and amendments and emendations. So let's take a look at it. When examining sources, genealogists cite them. Duh. You can't be a genealogist if you don't cite things. And what do we cite? We cite sources. We cite content found in sources and make notes about their contents. Well, that's what we do. That's called research. And features of potential relevance to the investigation. Well, that's why we're looking at it. These notes include content, formatting, and other features. I guess the point of physical features and contextual cues, including any indication the source may be damaged, incomplete, or incorrectly dated. How do I know it's incorrectly dated? Very well could be, and I would make a note of that if I thought that was the case. And I'm always going to use the word torn or whatever if I've got a document that's in poor condition. And I'm going to describe the condition of the document also. Names, dates, places, circumstances, and other content exactly as they appear in the source material. Well, if it isn't exactly how they appear in the source material, you're going to get in trouble, because someone else will look at that source and see that you didn't transcribe it properly, or you didn't abstract it properly, or you didn't read it properly. And that's not a good sign. Formatting, heading, subheadings. I guess formatting, is it written in the same hand? Is everything in the same hand might be an example. Headings and subheadings you're going to have to keep track of, because otherwise the stuff in the columns doesn't mean anything, along with the column headings. Digital source metadata, I have no idea. I don't think I have ever looked at digital source metadata. Maybe I should start. I don't know what it is going to have to do with my sources, though. Notations on the front or back of a page or appended to it. A lot of things that we see are black and white, when in fact the original is in color, and color ink means something generally. Usually, for example, a muster roll is in black ink, but there are red annotations on it. Well, those annotations were added much later, usually by the AGO, the Adjutant General's Office, in the commissary of musters and those kind of things. Or in another example would be the Ainsworth list, where there are pieces of paper attached to the list that describe specific circumstances associated with that specific muster roll or payroll that Ainsworth was able to get his hands on. Those kind of things. I guess that's what they mean by appended to it. Whether or not adjacent to the source or item of interest. So it may, especially in a pension record, you may find that 2 records have been separated in the pension file and they definitely relate to each other, but you don't know that till you do the analysis and put it all together. And footnotes and endnotes. I'm always interested in footnotes and endnotes. Don't really care which one, but I'm always interested in them. Amendments. I'm not sure I know what that means. It means to modify something. And emendations. Well, not a word I usually use. I can't remember when I ever used it. It means, let me look, the process of making a revision or a correction to a text. So if somebody's put a line through something, I say they put a line through it, but that evidently seems to be a emendation. I don't think I'll be using it anytime soon. I mean, I'm happy with this one. I like this one. I think they use more words than they had to. I definitely like the use of the word emendation, because I don't know that word before now, which means that when I read through this the first time years ago, not very many years ago, I just skipped right over it and didn't worry about it. But what's the difference between an amendment and an emendation? They're both corrections or revisions, maybe. So I guess not much to say here, except you will cite your sources and you will take notes about your sources that will allow you to properly, at some later time, maybe, even if it's 30 seconds later, evaluate the source. Number 25. I will add that we're dealing with content here. One of the dangers, which we'll talk about next week in all of this, is confusing your comments with content. Be very careful in your note-taking that you identify what are your comments and what is actual content. I usually put my comments off to one side and the content is in the center of the page, but that's just me. Sometimes I may use a different color for my comments, but then I just get confused about what does that color mean. So black ink works just fine. So does blue. So this is Craig, Just Genealogy, another genealogy standard. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Appreciate your viewing hours. Appreciate your telling your friends, and we'll see you soon.